I think we could say that there are only a handful of authors, this is what I think, who give us a picture of what this city looks like under the surface that we could truly recognize. Something we can read as locals and not roll our eyes at. So I'm thinking of Lee Barnes with his novel The Lucky and some of his other work. Charles Bach with Beautiful Children. Jodi Angel has a story collection, History of Las Vegas. Very nice. Not all of it is set in Las Vegas.
Okay, I don't know.
So they're really good. Everyone should check them out. And now you. So you've established yourself as one of these few writers who is writing about Las Vegas in a way that's sensitive and well-informed. So now that you've done this, do you feel it's any sort of obligation to keep putting work out there that is sort of a counterpoint to all these misinformed writers who just sort of write for shock and entertainment value at the expense of the people who actually live here? I have an agenda.
You do have an agenda, and I have a lot of causes that I believe in, but not for writing. Yeah. And I don't carry that banner. I don't feel like I owe that to Las Vegas or to literature or to anything. I want to write things. I can't necessarily always do this, but I want to write things that I'm proud of, and I want it to reflect my lived experience in the world as I see it. I don't want to write about myself. I don't want to write about my friends, but I'm deep in a second book right now, and it's also set in Las Vegas. So, and I was thinking, I think I'm not going to write about Las Vegas again after this one. It's very different from this book, but I think I'm done with Las Vegas after this.
Well, yeah, you don't have to have an agenda. You just write about what's true and what you feel is organic to what you're feeling and the process, right?
I mean, it's just such a writer's dream, Las Vegas. I mean, the stories just pop and pop and pop, but I think that probably my voice on Las Vegas will be petering out after one more book. That's my thought.
There's so much to say, though.
There is. But how much can I say?
We want to hear it, though. That's the thing. We want to hear it from people who...
You're so nice.
Well, we want to hear... Well, the thing is, we want to hear these voices that are getting the tone right. Because so often it's tone deaf.
It is tone.
Right?
Yes.
That's the problem.
It's tone deaf.
It really is.
It's dangerous to talk about this because you could jump right into like really dangerous ground and talking about writing. But and I don't want to disparage anyone who's really trying to do their best to just put work out there. Of course not.
And they're doing the best they can with what they have. Yeah, and I respect anyone who's trying to put work out there, no matter what form it takes. And if they're trying to write about Las Vegas, that's what they want to do, and it's some sort of genre. And it's selling, that's fine. But when we're here in Las Vegas and we're seeing these garish misrepresentations, and they're not even trying to represent us right, it's almost like that co-opting of something that is kind of true to you, and it doesn't represent you, and it gets a little old sometimes.
It's kind of a rub for a writer because there's that old saw, write what you know. It can be boring to write what you know. Yeah. I don't want to write about my not that interesting life, and I definitely don't want to intrude on the privacy of the people in my life or on my own privacy. Writing what you know, though, there is a level at which anytime you go and take somebody else's something, you have to be careful. Even in my own novel, even writing about Las Vegas, I choose characters that are not me. And so I go in and I imagine someone else's life that's nothing like mine. And that was pretty scary. And it was pretty scary when it was moving out into the world and people reading it. Would somebody stand up and say, hey, I am this, and that your image of me is a sham? I mean, I think that was sort of my worst nightmare, is that not that someone wouldn't, people love or don't love or whatever they think of the book, that's we all have personal taste, but that I would have co-opted something that wasn't mine to take. It is a very sort of scary part of being a writer. That's a scary
part for any writer,
yeah.
So how do you feel about the reception of the book itself? How do you feel about the success of the book and the traction it's getting? Is there anything that's unexpected about it?
Oh, everything's unexpected.
Yeah.
I mean, I absolutely have no expectations that it would even get published. But mostly I'm thrilled. I have a lot of obviously. Every book has some people who don't like it, and there are people who don't like my book, and they have specific reasons for not liking it, and I absolutely own that and accept it. I'm comfortable with my book and all of the choices I made in it, and I feel great about those choices. And if you were a reader and you didn't like them, that's fine. Sometimes I think readers think they're pointing out something that then I will agree with, or it's kind of like, well, yeah, that could be another way to go, but I like what I did. But mostly 90+% of the feedback I get is really, really kind. And I get a lot of people, you can, my website's on the cover and you can email me that way. And I get some amazing notes from readers, amazing notes. People who are going through very difficult periods, or they tell me what they were doing when they read the book, or they have an experience similar to a character in the book, or a passage in the book meant something to them. Of everything that has happened, the willingness of some readers to reach out and say something really personal and honest to me, as if we are in a conversation. I meant to communicate with the book. That's what writing is. And then when someone comes back to me with something like that's sort of the deepest, richest experience. And they come from all over the world. It'll be somebody in New Zealand, and it'll be a young boy who's 18 years old, and then it'll be a man who lost his wife after 65 years, and then just from all over the world in all different circumstances. That is an amazing experience. It's amazing to live in this time when it's possible to have that experience.
Well, it's such a universal language too, literature, because when you're reading a book, it's such a personal experience, and you're spending this quiet time alone, and it really allows you as a reader to get really close so that you can feel that if the writer has done their job, that they're connecting with you. Right. So of course, when they're writing to you, they have established this deep connection. They feel that they know you.
Yeah, but that's moving.
They've spent so much time in that world.
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to write to you like that. Yeah. That's the great thing about
but
literature.
How amazing
books,
that they can find my website and email me from anywhere.
And how nice how
amazing
to get that.
Yeah.
And be able to communicate with them.
Yeah, it's really.
So now that you've written this novel, that's good, because I wanted to ask you about your fans, because you have a lot of fans now. And I wanted to ask you especially about the ones who are aspiring writers, because a lot of people who are reading books are aspiring writers.
Right.
And a lot of them look for advice, because they want to know, they see you as there and themselves as here. So they want to know. Which is
that can be really a false statement.
It is, right?
It's determined by the fact that a publisher picked it up and got published. And I am deeply grateful to Simon & Schuster and my editor Trish Todd. But that's a false paradigm. It's not a false paradigm. It's an imperfect paradigm. There are many things that are published for lots of reasons other than their great literature, and there are a lot of things that are incredibly well written and worked on in long periods of time and deserve to be seen that aren't going to end up published. So the fact that you have a book doesn't mean that you made it, and the fact that somebody doesn't have a published book doesn't mean that they didn't make it. And every writer knows that. I'm not sure readers know it.
That's true, because writers tend to go through this period. They tend to know for a long time before they're published that they're writers. And then after they're published, the world says, hey, you're a writer. And they're almost perplexed, right? Yeah. That they say, well, I know. I've always thought of myself as a writer, right? Is that the kind of experience you're getting at, that writers feel
I just think
way.
That
but it takes a while for aspiring writers to get there.
Publication isn't what makes writing good. Yeah. Publication is one thing, and then it's kind of separate.
So you're
from whether writing is good or bad.
You're a writer before you've got your first book published.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just so many people writing beautiful things that aren't seen. And I just, having been there, you really want to acknowledge that for someone else, like what that experience is like, to know that you've got something great and nobody's going to read it, and you can't break through that. And I know that for every one of these, there's 1,000, and some of those 1,000 aren't very good. some of those 1,000 are great.
And this
some of those 1,000 are well better.
This isn't the first novel you wrote?
It's not my first novel. No, it's not. And my first novel never got published, and nobody ever looked at it. I remember those experiences so deeply. What I honor is the people who keep writing and keep going for it. I definitely quit. I got all that feedback, and I said, this isn't very practical. I'm going to go start teaching. And I don't regret making that decision. Maybe I regret quitting writing. I mean, I felt that at least one or two very good people had seen it, had loved what I wrote, and didn't think it was publishable. And then I thought, okay, that's the answer, and I was done. I a little bit wish I hadn't taken that 10-year break.
Well, there's a thing
Whatever.
about, I wanted to kind of get into that too, because there's a thing that many writers say, and actually lots of people say it, spiritual leaders say it too, that about things unfolding in their own time, and you hear it again and again and again. So I was hoping we could address that, of not rushing, not measuring yourself against anyone else's timetable, anyone else's calendar. And the reason I wanted to do that, because this book wasn't published straight out of college.
Yeah.
and here it is, very successful, and here you are at this great place where you have this wonderful novel and working on the next one, and yet, and you're far from alone. There's so many writers that have this model of publishing books at any point in their life, and it's not unusual. It's probably the norm, and yet all of these young aspiring writers, they're so freaked out if they just don't publish their first book by a certain age. They think they're off track and they're behind schedule. So what I'm asking you is, can you please help calm them down? Can you please say something? Because they sit next to me in the coffee shop and they talk about it and they stress me out, and I really just want to enjoy my coffee.
Right.
And I need someone to tell me that their fears are irrational. But they listen to you. They don't listen to me.
I don't know if their fears are irrational, because it's a very hard thing to. If I am a good student and I work really hard and I find a way to pay for certain kinds of education, I can take myself into a field, right? Like if I wanted to be a dentist and I was a good student and I worked hard and I found a way to pay for it, I could just keep going through the steps and I would end up being a dentist, or I would end up being a teacher. But a writer, that's actually still
I like
true.
where this analogy is going. Yeah.
But if you want to say that I'll end up being paid for being a writer, you don't get that.
Yeah.
There's no set of steps that gets you there. Now, maybe if you choose to be an academic writer, then effectively there is a set of steps that gets you there. But for any artist, for a musician, for anybody who's trying to do their own creative work, not just like I did lots of writing in the service of other work. I worked in nonprofit organizations. I work as a teacher. I write all the time, and my writing is paying me in that sense. But if I want to get paid for something I just made up out of my head and my heart, I mean, I can't calm someone down, because there isn't a path to that. And there is a very big risk when you're an artist that that's never going to happen. What I think I can say is that the Laura McBride, who at 20 or 23 or I don't know, some age like that, wanted to be a writer, is gone. She's been gone for decades. Or I don't know, she's been gone a long, long time. Now I just am Laura McBride. And what am I going to do with whatever little bit of time I have on this earth? And when I ended up in a sabbatical, and I had a few months, and I loved to write, and I always wanted to write another novel, I wrote another novel because I wanted to do it. I wanted to see if I could shape it, if I could make something that I was proud of, that I loved. And I can tell you, like from the bottom of my heart, of course I had hopes, but it didn't matter. I mean, I wasn't doing it so that it would get published. I was doing it so that I could have the satisfying experience of making something. And I'm not that good at baking. I'm terrible at singing. I can't dance. I'm pretty good with words. And so that was the thing I could make. And I'm writing a second novel now because I want to make something else. And I want to try something different. And I feel so lucky to get to make something. I mean, a lot of parts of my life are satisfying. I'm satisfied being a mother. I'm satisfied being a teacher. But making something out of your own head by yourself, it's it's thrilling. I mean, it's exciting.
And it lasts forever.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it does.
It's there forever, yeah.
Yeah, it's there.